Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to a new edition of Human Dialogues. I am Jessica Lockhart, and I am thrilled to be here with you again in our Más Humanos magazine, this international humanology magazine that approaches human beings from many different perspectives and points of view. And as you know, every month, our institute focuses on one human topic, the topics chosen by you, our readers and followers. And the topic we're approaching this month of November is none other than motivation. An important topic, isn't it? Well, the topic we chose for our magazine this month is something that many of you might relate with or will relate with later on in life. And I have the pleasure of having a very interesting person join us today for Human Dialogues to discuss keep motivated in old age. I am really thrilled to introduce somebody from Switzerland this time. Now that I moved to Spain, I have someone from Switzerland, although she is a native Australian, but is currently living in Switzerland. I am talking about Jaya Lisa Saunders, who, after having lived across 5 continents over 6 decades, grew up in the UK, moved to Australia, and currently finds herself living in central Switzerland with her Swiss partner. Jaya loves being in nature, spending quality time with friends, traveling and exploring food and culture, reading, discussing philosophy, watching movies, dancing, walking, and celebrating being healthy and alive. Jaya's career, she calls it her life's work, began in 1974 in London and has evolved exponentially, incorporating her passion of serving her clients in bringing body, mind, and heart together. In a nutshell, Jaya practices women-centered coaching and somatic psychotherapy, which incorporates her own personal development journey, plus several styles, techniques of bodywork, including medical, remedial massage, biodynamic craniosacral, and Bowen therapy. She offers body treatments, workshops in mindfulness, meditation, breath awareness, and stretching, including general body awareness at her studio in Biel, in Switzerland, and Lucerne. Women-centered empowerment coaching programs are personally tailored to suit people's needs and wishes. So as you can see, Jaya has a lot to share, and I am sure will inspire you with a lot of information, a lot of content, and maybe a tip of two. Jaya, I am really thrilled to have you on board on Human Dialogues. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Lovely to see you
It is lovely
again.
to see you again. Yes, after so long. So,
Yeah.
Jaya, we're talking about keeping motivated in old age. And we came across this topic because we're collaborating with some institutions that are focused on the elderly or people growing old or that kind of topic. And one of the issues that kept on coming up was how people lose their motivation as they retire, as they start having maybe some weaknesses. So, what would you say is the greatest concern regarding keeping motivated in old age?
I would say the greatest concern is what we are conditioned to believe that happens to us as we get older. And my one of my biggest realizations in life, or one of my biggest, I guess, I'm kind of like I'm a rebel, you know. I've always rebelled against normal kind of way construction of thinking, particularly. So I've always thought, well, what is it about getting older that why does it stop us from, you know, being the best we can be and to continue enjoying life, you know, as we were when we were in our 20s or 30s or whatever. And so I guess, you know, it is really up against this challenge of our conditioning. That's what I would say, the
So
answer
it's
to that
really
question.
beliefs. You would say then it's beliefs and mindset.
It's really beliefs, and it's how we process those beliefs. You
All
know,
right.
whether we take them on board and believe them, or whether we create our own beliefs, or we, you know, yes, we find other ways.
So we'll come back to this because I think it's really key and important. When we look back in history, we realize that in the past, Middle Ages, for example, people at the age of 30 or 40 were already elderly. Whereas today,
Yeah.
we're hearing everywhere that when you're in your 50s or your 60s, you are still very young and you are not old until you're in your late 80s. So that is a perception that's
Perception
changing.
that's
Oh,
Mm.
sorry, that's a
You're
perception
right.
that's changing. And we see that by expanding our life span, by lengthening our lifespan, together with that, we're having to come up with new beliefs and with new perceptions.
Hmm.
Health is also improving. What role do you think health plays in that belief system, in that mentality?
Well, I think that the health is optimal. I think health has to be our biggest, our biggest value really in life. Because if we don't have our health, we really don't have anything. you know so and health is a big topic because as we all know, you have some good days and some not so good days. And when you're not having such a good day, then you think, oh, then you can kind of really get into a downward spin and think that your health is suffering. Whereas if you can just allow yourself to trust that the process of being a human being, which means that we have ups and downs, and some days we don't feel so good. And things that happen to us, we can focus a lot of times on the things that are not feeling so good, or the aches and the pains, or the things like that, the worries that we have. Often, I think stress is a big part of it as well. And it's about finding ways to manage and understand that we don't have to buy into the down times or the stressful times. It's like we try to ride them a little bit more and know that they will eventually change.
As a disabled woman, I was told many years ago that I would never walk again, and I do have my limitations. I do have those ups and downs. I do have a certain age, or I am a certain age, but I fully agree with you. It's how you live those moments, how you interpret those moments that allows you to continue being active. Because even if I
Yeah,
can walk, I can still move my arms, I can still exercise, and I can still live fully. You're
yeah.
tremendously active. Physically speaking, you do a lot of things, but also intellectually. And I usually share with my clients that keeping alert and keeping active one way or another is also a great contributor to being healthy and well. So inactivity, in a nutshell, I think is one of our worst enemies. Would you agree?
I totally agree. Yeah, I really do. And sometimes it's not easy to be active, when you're feeling particularly stiff or tight or just weak, energy wise, uninspired, unmotivated. It's not easy to keep moving then. But the key is just to go, okay, I'm going to just do it, even if I just do 5 minutes.
So sometimes, depending on the culture, when you grow older or you're retired, people see you as somebody who is already expendable, somebody who's going to be placed somewhere outside of the way so they don't bother. And I recall offering a talk in Mexico a few years back on the topic of regaining or maintaining your optimism also in old age, because a prevalent belief there is that once you grow older, you become useless. In the past,
Hmm.
the elderly were the wise people in tribes and
Yeah.
groups, in communities, and that has somehow been lost. How
Yes,
can
you're right.
we, yeah, how can we
Mm.
recover it? How can we change this mindset, this set of beliefs that you were talking about, that the elderly are useless, the elderly can do nothing? How can we contribute to changing this, Jaya? What ideas would you share?
That's a big question, isn't it? Because, I mean, the structure, living in Switzerland, for example, I mean, the structure is that once you passed at the age of 65 or 70, you're pretty much seen as someone who's not really, in society, you're not really existing, you're not really worthy of support, if you like. But I think, going beyond that, when you ask that question, it's like, essentially, I think it's about getting together with each other, with those, with others of like mind and others of like age, and to be able to really, yes, it's that old age question of how we change a system when the system is actually, already put in place. I mean, it's a difficult question really to answer. But I just think it comes back to our individual, our individual kind of way of living our lives.
Yeah, and I think that people like you being so active and doing things, acting as a role model for other women and men in society
Yes,
is also an important task for those of us who are growing a little bit older.
absolutely.
Uh-huh. And you were saying that beliefs are at the root of many decisions and actions by people who grow older who just consider themselves useless. It's not just society, but themselves.
Hmm.
So, how would you recommend people to start working on those beliefs on themselves? We cannot perhaps impact society that much. How can we impact ourselves? How can we start questioning and changing those beliefs, Jaya?
Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the key for change, and it takes time, but it's also something that we can impact eventually over time with the numbers of us that are actually activating that. So what I would say is, when you said how, I can only speak from my own experience, right? So I would say that for me, like if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling particularly um, blah, as I put it, or unmotivated. I'm feeling a bit stiff and a bit tight in my body. I'm feeling a bit like just generally not so good. Then I would just sit. Often, I mean, I do meditate. I'm a meditator, and I would probably say to myself, okay, so it's time just to sit with yourself if I've got the time, and I will try and make that time. I sit with myself for, say, for example, for about half an hour and just focus on my breathing and just allow myself to really acknowledge how I'm feeling and what's going on in my body, how I'm feeling emotionally, how I'm feeling mentally, without judging it, without analyzing it, but just being with that, with how it is, not making it into anything. And then I would just, after doing that for, perhaps half an hour, and stopping my mind from analyzing or going down some kind of track, about making it into some kind of story. I'm very conscious of not making situations into stories, but just allowing them to be the way they are and understanding that everything is changing and moving. And I know, from experience that everything does change and move, and tomorrow is another day. So that's basically what I would do. And then also moving, if I'm feeling particularly stiff or tight, like I was, for example, yesterday. I don't know why, and I didn't have to go into any story about it. I just was, and I just got myself into a mode where I just thought, right, you're going to do some stretching now. So I did some stretching, this and that, and after half an hour of doing that, I felt a lot better, I have to say. And then the day went on, and then yeah, so all I can say to you is from, it's about really not buying into those stories that say to us, oh, you're getting old, because I'm 71 now. And, from my past experience and having grandmas and and grandpas and such, and they, often, when they were in their 70s, they were complaining a lot. They were having hip replacements, and they were taking painkillers and all of those things. And I can remember as a child thinking, oh, 70 is really old. It's just like you really have to suffer, when you're getting old. But I just try not to buy into the story. That's it.
I love it because, well, for those of you who follow us, we have this international magazine that we publish every month. And there is one contributor, Larry Melton, who is 87, I think, right now. He publishes an article every month on the joy of aging. And I think that finding that joy is also important. It goes together with what you just said. It's not just sitting and wallowing on the bad feelings, the aches, but it's also looking for the right positive things you have in your life. And if you find yourself a little upset one day, take action. Do something about it, like you just said. I just got up and exercised or stretched.
And another thing is focusing on what's working, focusing on the good things, and thinking about, the things in life that are really giving you energy and giving you joy, and that are moving along.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Jaya, thank you so much for this chat, for this human dialogue. I think a lot of nuggets are to be harvested from it. I think a lot of people will be inspired by your positive attitude, the down to earth approach you use, and this perspective that it is really our own choice, that we really can do what we want to do, even if there's days in which we don't feel like doing anything. I think that life doesn't end until it ends, and that it can be enjoyed until then. You might enjoy it more enthusiastically and with more energy or with more activities every day, or at a more leisure pace, but enjoy it nonetheless. Jaya, it was a pleasure talking with you. I hope to have you in our events in the future again, because I think you have a lot to inspire and a lot to share. I
Thank you.
praise you for your good health and your spirit and your energy, and I wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And then to all of you who just watched this episode of Human Dialogues, remember that you can also watch many others in our YouTube channel, the Humanology channel, and join all our events live. This is Jessica Lockhart from the International Institute of Humanology.